Hey everybody, we're back with more coverage of the Laughing Dragon MXP San Francisco Modern 20K. I'm Tanner Grayson, joined by Andrew Ellenbogen. We're going to be ready for round 10 here in just a few moments. Andrew, I can only hope that the rest of the rounds today are as good as like the first couple ones we got today because they were super entertaining.
Oh yeah, that Super Mono Black match was just great magic. It was a ton of decisions back and forth. I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, a lot of talking points for us as well. Made our job absolutely easy. Gotta love seeing that from our side. It looks like we've got our matchup here between two 7-1-1s. We've got Alan on 5-color creativity versus it looks like a mirror match versus Christopher on 5-color creativity here as well. Uh, what's important in this matchup? Is it just going to be like kind of die roll and who has it first?
Yes. So wait a second. All right.
Maybe we have
Is
the.
is
What's it? Is that
I'm not
not?
100% sure. I didn't get a great look, but Christopher Smith hand looked like it might be not creativity.
Yeah, it looked like it
I
might
mean,
have
did
been
you see what I
Rakdos.
saw?
I thought I saw. I only saw a couple things.
Yes. Okay. I pulled the deck list here. It looks like there's been a labeling error. It looks like
Yeah.
it's scam versus creativity.
Anu, come on, man. No, we're joking. So think. Look, hey, I don't mind a good mirror match, but look, if you give me two different decks, I'm way more in for it.
All right. So the Scam versus Creativity matchup has historically been considered to be close. I think who's exactly favored depends on some details of the list. It's not a blowout either way. Um, in general, the Scam deck is going to try to do it does best, disrupt the Creativity deck as much as possible, take everything that matters, bolt their cards in response, or fatal push their cards in response to the Creativity, and kind of kill the opponent before they figure it all out. For the creativity's part, a lot of the time, well, first of all, they are inevitable. Eventually, the creativity deck is going to win. Eventually, if the game goes long enough, they will put Archons on the battlefield, and there is really no recovery from that. Um, Much of the time, the best thing that creativity can do is top deck creativity at the right moment, if that makes sense. Creativity in the opening hand will often get taken. You're sort of playing against Thoughtseize Tribal, but if you peel it on turn 4 or 5, that can make the difference.
So we're looking to miracle of creativity. In other words, got it. I see where the disconnect happened. I went and looked up the deck list on Melee, and Christopher has his deck labeled as 5-color creativity. Ooh, Trixie Christopher getting us, or at least it's labeled on the program that way. I don't know if necessarily he did it, but that's the way it's labeled. So Trixie Melee here. So it looks like a turn 2 Voidwalker from Christopher Smith here. Alan's going to go ahead and fetch here. That's going to create that new pile of the Voidwalker.
Yeah, and Alan has to be pretty worried about this Voidwalker because if Christopher Smith has slow rolled something like a Thoughtseize or a Grief here, it could mean that one of Alan's best cards will be cast by Christopher next turn, maybe even something like an Archon. And so, yeah, Alan is just going to immediately fire up the Smack Ending, have none of that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the scariest things about Voidwalker that it doesn't always come up, but when it does, I think famously we saw it happen at the Pro Tour for was it Lord of the Rings in the finals. We saw like an Ulamog get cast off of a Voidwalker and a Thoughtseize combination. I remember Christian Calcano just like tossing the card across the board to Jake, but
Yes,
that's something I
that
didn't
is
think of.
correct.
Yeah, I didn't think of something of that right away when Voidwalker came out. Like just how good this card is in so many different aspects. You can see why these decks are still playing it. And it's also, I mean, it being unblockable is pretty nice too.
I mean, in some matchups, that play power is so important that you'll see scam players even intentionally not Thoughtseize on one if it's their only discard effect. I don't think you'd be likely something like that against creativity. It's a little extreme given how interactive the creativity deck is. They could just kill a Voidwalker. But against, for example, Amulet in game one, I think it's not uncommon to see scam do something like that.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a an actual plan that you could set up for sure. Got turn 3 Fable for Christopher Smith here, and it looks like turn 3 is going to be met with a Teferi. Let's go ahead and pick up that Goblin token and get a little extra card as well for Alan here.
Yeah, Teferi lines up really nicely into Fable. One of the good things about the card, and this game is not really going according to plan for Christopher Smith. He has not Thoughtseize Alan, not disrupted him too much, and he also doesn't have much of a clock. That doesn't mean he's out of it, but this is definitely the way Alan wants the game to play out.
Absolutely. We're in the second chapter of Fable here, so we're looking to see if any cards want to be discarded from Chris, and they're going to be cycled into new cards from his deck. It looks like one of those cards you were talking about, Thoughtseize, was picked up this turn as well for Christopher. So he's contemplating his hand. Is this just going to be a no discard to this? Wow. Okay, that's a little worrisome. Alan.
Interesting. So his hand is very good, apparently.
Yeah, it looks like this Thoughtseize is going to reveal. I think that's a Leyline. Okay, there's a bunch of things. I see Creativity, Reprieve, Leyline, another Teferi, and an Arcana Cruelty, and I think that Dwarven Mine as well is in his hand. So would have been able to Creativity
Yeah.
for 1 next turn.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
well,
No, he would not have been, actually. I apologize. That's a Besaju in play.
right, so this is kind of interesting. The most obvious play is, well, your opponent's deck is named Creativity, perhaps take the namesake card.
Sure.
However, given that Alan actually doesn't have an immediate way to put any sort of token onto the battlefield, you could try to kind of strand it in their hand. Remove any tokens they play and then let them have the creativity. That is playing with fire, so I understand Christopher Smith just taking it here, but I do think that was a real decision point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like last round we saw, do you counter the tutor or not? And it sounded like some of these plays were correct in the spots. And I'm a big fan of just like not playing with fire, though in some situations I do think you are supposed to take the risk. And I think here like you expect this game to possibly go pretty long if you're Chris, so maybe just getting rid of that card is the way to go. And he's going to go ahead and clean up this board as well with an Oakish Boardmaster taking down that Teferi. There is wait, I was going to say there's the other Teferi in the graveyard as well. So we'll see what Alan follows up with this turn. Looks like it's going to be a Scalding Tarn. I think that's the new card that he drew for the turn.
I was just going to note that something we should keep in mind here is we know, and Christopher knows, that Alan has cards in his hand that can trick. For example, this Reprieve is pretty awkward to a Bowmaster. Sure, you can still cast it, but if you're just kind of trading mana neutrally on their spell and they get a Bowmaster trigger, that's not a good exchange for you.
Yeah, nice way to kind of punish what Alan has in his hand. You see why Christopher kept all those cards on that Fable. I was like very surprised that he kept, didn't at least pitch one, right? And now you're kind of seeing why these cards are pretty good that he kept, and they've been pretty impactful so far. So it looks like attack over for just 1.
Does Alan have a fetch in play? Why did the Bowmaster stay home? What is Christopher worried about?
Yeah, there is a fetch in play, but there's one of the lands is a Besaju, right? So like he can't Dwarven Mine here.
Yes. Interesting. I'm not totally sure what Christopher Smith is worried about.
Maybe this is one of those where like they just, in all of your playtesting, they always have it. So you're just kind of like, it's in your mind. Like on turn 4, they can make the 1/1 kind of thing. So it looks like that Scalding Tarn's going to go ahead and find one of those Surveil lands here. Going to put a Surveil land trigger on the stack. Christopher did shock here for his 4th mana and pass. So definitely possibilities of lots of things happening over Christopher's side. With the Surveil trigger for Alan. So he's going to keep it on top or not.
And I'll just quickly note regarding Alan's kind of creativity list here that this is sort of the white build of creativity that has been popular lately. That is, there's a bunch of Reprieves, a bunch of Mana Tides. It's not. It is 5 colors, but white is sort of its non-red base color, if that makes sense.
Sure. Looks like Dwarven Mine is going to get milled there from the top, and still looks like end of turn. Leyline Blind is going to come in and take care of that Bowmaster. Nice thing for Alan here, because like you said, lots of cantrips in the hand. Don't want to give away too much value.
Sorry, I meant to target this.
Right, but I think Christopher Smith might have another Bowmaster.
Well, actually, hold on. It looks like there was a mistake here. He's like, he untapped. He didn't draw it. He's like, hold on. I meant to actually target this. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and try to figure this out. Looks like Alan might have changed his mind right away. Nothing has happened. No information has been gathered. I think just the lands got technically untapped. He hasn't drawn a card yet. Okay, so it looks like he's going to draw the card, and the binding is going to stay on the Bowmaster.
So, okay, when Chris declined to discard to that Fable, was his hand literally just Bowmaster, Thoughtseize? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a very good chance that's what it was, yeah. It looks like we have a Renin 6 getting added here, and you can kind of see like maybe why he wanted to go after the Mirror of Kikijiki here, because he would have had a way to take care of one of these pesky 1/1s as well. But goes in and gets a land, puts a Scalding Tarn into play from the graveyard. I believe this will make Dwarven Mine active. I think that's 3 mountains plus the Viseiju in place. That would be the 4th if he were to go get a Dwarven Mine off of this Scalding Tarn. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and although certainly taking out these 1/1 creatures with the Ren is good, let's not forget that Alan's got a handful of spells, including an Archon that he might at some point hardcast. So picking up these lands is very relevant with the Ren. And Alan correctly realized that look, Christopher Smith's past 4 mana probably has other Bowmasters because what else is he doing? Which means pinging the token is asking for trouble. It's just going to grow, and you're not going to accomplish anything.
Absolutely. Speaking of growing that token, that Bowmaster does get played from Christopher. The triggers can go upstairs to Alan here. Renin 6 still at 4 loyalty, but now we're untapping. There's a Sheholder and a Fatal Push available to Christopher here, but he does have an active Kiki-Jiki in play here, so a couple of different options on what to do with the mana here.
Yes, now, certainly copying Bowmasters is a pretty appealing prospect in general. You get another version of the custom play effect, all that nice stuff. It does have some disadvantages. If Alan has its new rule spell in response, that could be a punish. But Christopher knows a bunch of cards in Alan's hand still. None of the cards he knows about are that rule spell, so he's just going to go for it.
Yeah, I think this kind of like helps play around the worst case scenario here too. Like if you just tap out for Sheholder and Alan goes and gets something with Dwarven Mine and just has creativity on the next turn, like that might be worst case scenario. So this allows Chris to up the clock quite a bit here, while also getting to hold up Fatal Push to play around creativity, and that also plays around Reprieve and stuff as well. Because you can cast Fatal Push multiple times in a turn. So maybe just kind of splitting the difference here and playing the really safe play, but Alan is still taking a ton of damage here as well. His life total is getting kind of low.
Yeah, and Christopher is choosing to completely ignore the Renin 6, I believe.
How do you feel about that here?
I think I like it. I think that, I don't know, Anna's got a lot of resources, and if at some point he finds creativity, I think it's going to be enough anyway. Sure, if Alan lives to cast his Archon, you are like giving him the lands to get there, but I just sort of think if the game goes that long, even without the Renin 6, you won't be in great shape. Like, I'm worried that's sort of playing not to lose, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense. Alan's going to go ahead and crack that Scalding Tarn here. Let's see what he wants to get. A couple different options. Could keep developing the mana base. Could find one of those Dwarven Mines that we talked about to at least find a blocker. It looks like it's going to be another... Well, we're just going to check the top card of our deck here. We're going to Surveil for 1 instead. Maybe help try to find a spell that's relevant here. Also, you know, if you this helps him trying to find like creativity and some of the more impactful cards right here, because you can still get the Scalding Tarn back from the graveyard with the Renin 6 if you need to go find Dwarven Mine. Looks like another land is going to get put to the bottom. I'm sorry, into the graveyard.
Yes, and I do think these 2 Surveil lands in our own decks are honestly a pretty meaningful upgrade against creativity. I'm sorry, against Scam. It's a matchup where you'll spend a lot of time top decking, and just additional looks are going to be disproportionately impactful.
Absolutely. Looks like he went to go shoot the Orcish Bowmaster, but now he's maybe thinking better of it. And I love that point you just made. I think we've only been scratching the surface of how impactful these Surveil lands can be in Modern. You know, just little things. Like, one of my favorites was somebody got hit by Ragavan the other day with the trigger on the stack. I watched them fetch up a Surveil land. They're like, okay, you can have this one. Like, I'm okay with this card being the top card of my deck.
Yes, you can sort of protect against Ragavan if you're willing to fetch a tap land.
Yeah, so I just think they're awesome. I love all the cool things that are going on. All right, so it does look like Renin 6 is going to take care of that. First deployed the Teferi, though, so nothing can be played in response. Tight play from Alan there. Nice sequencing. He's going to go ahead and bounce the token now as well. Christopher went from a pretty nice board position to now he's just got a 2/2.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a disaster for Christopher Smith. I mean, especially because I think there's a pretty decent chance he had the Scano here. I mean, I don't know if he did or not. I don't know his exact hand. But, like, he's not had a good opportunity to cast one in a long time. So if he had one kind of protecting the Bowmaster, then the fact that the trade comes down first is really backbreaking.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know one of the cards left over to hand is She-Holder. He's going to draw up a third card here this turn. So 3 cards left over for Christopher. That 2/2 still in play. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. So if a good creature comes off the top for Christopher, he can maybe play it, make a copy of it with haste, but only the non-legendary ones.
Yeah, and I think Christopher's, I don't know, getting a bit punished for his decision to not deploy Shield last turn because I don't know he's sort of trying to dance this dance of like, oh, like, I won't overcommit your reprieve and I'll hold up a little interaction and like it'll be okay. But now as board's destroyed, he's left slamming the Shieldred anyway, and it's sort of like, what did we really accomplish with all this? I don't know.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It looks like he went ahead and attacked the Teferi here, but that got met with a ley line. And then tight play here. He's going to play the land here to play around possible Force Spike. Because, like you said, we've seen this show up in the white versions of this deck before. Murktide has shown up. She-Holder is going to get played for Christopher here and pass on over to Alan.
Yes, and crucially, because Alan chose to use that leyline binding to preserve the Teferi, he now does not have the reprieve up. Might be a crucial misstep.
Let's see. So go ahead and pass back over. He draws a card. Don't know if the She-Holder triggered was. There we go. All right, he caught the She-Holder trigger. Announced. Alan goes down to 6.
Wait a minute. Can Alan just cast Archon this turn?
I think so, right? Like he's gonna go ahead and grab a land. That's what,
Now,
6
wait.
lands in play.
Hold on. It might depend on the details of his mana base because.
How
Okay.
much black does he have here? I see, what, 3 sources of black in play? He's got a Scalding Tarn in play right now.
Right. So basically, what I was getting at is, I think these creativity decks often don't have many untapped black sources, just
Right,
like
yeah.
in their libraries. It's just too costly to play those. They usually just have the black kind of on Scrylands or Trilands. So I was trying to look at Alan's lands. Does he have kind of a double black in play? It looks like the answer is no, right?
I think he has, okay, I think he has 2 sources of black in play right now untapped. So it looks like Dwarven Mine is going to be the play here and a pass over to Christopher Smith.
Oh, you're right. Okay. So there is an Archon coming next turn. Sorry. Okay. I was trying to figure out his land situation.
Sure.
My apologies.
Yep, looks like that Fatal Push is going to get cashed in on the Dwarven Mine token.
Makes enough sense playing her in a top deck creativity.
Absolutely. She-Holder is still sitting around. Looks like a Dash Ragavan is going to be the play for Christopher Smith here. What does Alan want to do here? Does he want to cash in the reprieve here? Drawing a card would cost him 2 life and put him down to 4. But he's facing down 6 power here, and he's at 6. Is this... I was going to say, is this just going to kill him?
Well, he can
Oh, he
fetch a
can get a
Dwarven Mine
Dwarven
token
Mine.
and chump.
All right, so he's going to go down to 5 here. He'll fetch up a Dwarven Mine, be able to block the She-Holder. He'll go to 3. He'll go to 2 during his turn. I'm sorry, 1 during his turn.
Oh, I understand that it's very dangerous. He also is going to get hit by Rog here, which means there is a Ragamon trigger that will happen. And that could be decisive. For example...
Red and 6 would be lethal.
I mean, Lightning Bolts would be lethal as well.
I'm trying to think of the exact lethal cards, like just 1 damage. All right, little block. Alan's going to go to 3 here. Top card. Is that a Transmogrify?
Yes, it is a Transmogrify. So, all right, Christopher Smith has the option to turn. Oh no, he doesn't even have 4th link, so he does not.
He doesn't have 4, yeah.
All right, okay. We hit a blank. Step 1, Alan lives to see another day. He gets to untap. Wrong one bounces, which means the Archon might just solve all these problems, right?
If he can cast the Archon here, okay, there's also another Dwarven Mine, makes another token here. That's pretty good. So here comes Archon. Gonna take care of She-Holder. Because Alan's at 1 right now. Looks like Alan might be able to pull this one out just from so close to defeat.
Yeah, I mean...
Because do you sacrifice the creature first before you draw the card?
Well, the
what's
thing
the
is, you
timing?
gain 3 life.
Okay, sure.
So
Yeah, I think that's what
mean,
Christopher's asking is like, how does this all resolve separately?
yeah. So I believe that it happens in the order it's printed. So I think what happens is because the order Archon is written, first the Shieldred is sacrificed, then the card is drawn. So I think that there is no life loss in the Shieldred is my belief, but I freely admit I am not certain.
Yeah, looks like we're gonna have this get cleaned up here.
So what's going to happen here is the ability from the Archon is going to resolve completely. That causes Shieldred to trigger. That trigger will not go onto the stack and be resolved until that ability is completely gone. I was going to 3 life left.
So just to be clear, Alan does live anyway because of the 3 life gain. So the question here is mostly, does Christian Smith have the chance of top decking a lightning bolt to steal the game, or is he just dead?
Like, does he, yeah, how many copies of lightning bolts do you have in his deck? I don't have the. Here we go.
In this particular case, you do it in order. So
It looks like
Shieldred will be
1.
sacrificed before.
All right, so 1 copy main. Okay, we get that would be pretty exciting. Pretty exciting way to have this end.
And to be clear, that only works if Alan loses life in the Shieldred, which I don't think he does. Otherwise, he's at 4, in which case he's just safe from everything.
Walking on the razor's edge here in this game. It also gets the Ragavan out of hand too. That's big as well. Gets a nice little clean take care of everything. Fairy's gonna go up to 3. We're in 6. Probably go up here as well. Return one of the lands to his hand. So back over to Christopher Smith. He's gonna draw for turn. Ton of mana disposal, but he's got a long uphill battle against what's going on the board here. What was the draw for turn? Looks like another Shieldred. And then he's still going to say, yep, that's still going to be game. It's not even close to good enough because that Archon's going to get to attack, trigger again, and that's going to be enough for game 1. Alan's going to take it over Christopher Smith. And a little bit of back and forth there. Christopher didn't come out of the gates, I think, fast enough there, though.
Yes, I very much agree. To win this matchup, the Scam deck has to be a little faster than that. Ultimately, they're going to have time to clean everything up, but hopefully you can leverage an early advantage to the point that, it is not really possible. But we didn't see any of the busted draws here. This wasn't, Ragavan backed by discard. This wasn't a grief scam. It was just a turn 2 Voidwalker, which is fine. Not necessarily a mulligan, especially in the dark, but not what you'd prefer to see.
Absolutely. All right, looks like we're going to be going into game 2. See if both these players keep their hands. Alan has mulliganed down to 5, I have been told here.
Wow, and that is absolutely brutal. Because, look, against the opponent that might double Thoughtseize you on turn 1 with a Grief Scam, mulliganing is the last thing you want to do. In fact, I know in this matchup, you often just keep really loose hands. Now,
it
doesn't mean Alan made a
playable.
mistake. Yeah. For all I know, he drew no landers twice or something. I'm not saying he's wrong, but boy, is that unfortunate.
It looks like I see some lands in a Ren and 6-2 where if this is something that is allowed to happen in this game can help him kind of unmulligan, but like you said, there's a good chance those cards aren't going to stay. So it looks like Chris has got something on turn 1 here. It does look like we're getting at least half of the scam. I think that's a grief. Pitching a Thoughtseize. Pitching a Thoughtseize when you have man up, that's kind of scary, right? Like you might believe that there's something else coming up behind this, or you're just hoping, I guess that's the only other black card in Christopher's hand. Especially when you're down to 5, right? You're down to 5 cards, they're pitching Thoughtseize. I'd be kind of worried.
I mean, if Christopher's hand is just grief, that scam element, yeah, I think the most likely explanation is those 3 cards. Or that Christopher's worried that because his opponent multiplied, he'll take the 2 spells, there won't be a 3rd spell, and therefore Thoughtseize will be a blank, is somewhat of a concern.
Looks like Not Dead After All is going to make this happen yet again. So this is going to come back. So Prismatic Ending getting taken here. I wonder if it's just going to be Ren and 6 behind this, left over 2 lands. And Indomitable Creativity for Alan here.
Yeah, that is probably the pick. I mean, you could take the Creativity and just try to attack the Ren and 6 down. That isn't that crazy. Wait, sorry. And is Alan able to cast the Ren and 6 of the 2 lands he had there?
I was gonna say, I think so, right? It was like fetch land and then mountain. I could be wrong. Could have been like a plains or something. I was
I
gonna
was
say
worried it
I
was
couldn't
especially
tell
in
with the
planes,
glare.
but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's those the glare. It's a little hard to tell. I couldn't tell. That would make a lot of sense, right? If that's the way it is. Also, with turn two Voidwalker, this makes a lot of sense as well. Do you want to play a Planeswalker? You're going to get one activation, then I'm going to attack it, and you're going to have nothing left.
Also, just the graveyard hate aspect of Voidwalker means that Ren is much worse, kind of fundamentally.
Yeah, that makes a really good point. So the Arid Mesa is in the graveyard because you sacrifice it in response to the Voidwalker, but the next time that happens, it's not going back there.
Yeah, like maybe what Christopher is thinking is like, okay, look, if my opponent plays Ren, they can get back this Arid Mesa one time, sure. And then you know what? I'm not even going to attack it. I'm literally just going to completely ignore it and go after their face.
Looks like Leyline Binding picked up for Alan here, and I do think that is a mountain, by the way. I think, what is that, a Fuji mountain? Or an APOC,
You're
maybe?
right.
Yeah.
Well, I believe Chris Smith did this because of the Voidwalker. I think that was the reason.
Yep, seems like a perfectly reasonable explanation. Christopher here, ton of power in play, can easily take care of this Ren 6 if he wants to. Voidwalker also just kind of neutering the Ren 6 as well, so like you said, I think he just might ignore it and go ahead and attack Alan down to 9.
Yeah, I'm still not sure I like this play overall,
Oh, I'm sorry, it's
though.
7. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Overall from Chris, my opinion is, look, I know that the Ren 6 is completely blank after this one fetch activation, but I'm worried that one fetch getting back is really important. Like, Alan can barely cast spells, and you know he has a good one to cast. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. I might just have taken the Ren 6 anyway. I definitely don't think Chris Smith is this crazy, but I'm not sure I agree.
Yeah, I can understand that. To be fair, it did put Alan down to 8, so if he uses a fetch, he goes down to 7, and you have 7 power in play with Grief, Voidwalker, and now he has 2 more, along with the Fable, but there's a lot to consider there with the exact life totals the way they are as well.
And that's true. I mean, I do think Chris Smith is in a good situation regardless. I mean, look, if your opponent rolls to 5 and you Grief scam them, you're going to be in a good position.
Yeah. You're probably at, look, where's the teleprompter? I need to put the advantage bar over into the heavy play section of the screen because it's firmly on Chris's side right now.
Yeah, you can just imagine it overlapping kind of that V and heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That little play symbol, that's actually the advantage bar. It's pointing that far to the right.
Oh, man. I don't know how much of this cast we're going to spend talking about the fictional advantage bar, but yeah, agreed.
Look, Anu and I, we do this pretty often. I'm going to ask for a teleprompter at some point in time. I need to be able to do the John Madden, like, look, if he goes here, then runs this way, then, scores a touchdown. I want to be able to do all that.
All right.
I don't think that's too much to ask. Is this another Grief behind this? What a draw for Christopher Smith this game. Almost feels like it's too much, right? Like you're wasting one of your best draws on the mulligan to 5 from Alan. But look, a win is a win. I'll take a game.
Yeah, definitely not great in terms of luck preservation,
sure.
But it is great for Christopher Smith's chance of winning this game.
Yeah, it's very good, actually. The advantage bar will be off the screen if we're going to keep referencing it. All right, chat, I'll chill on the advantage bar talk. But,
All right. So, presumably, Alan is going to respond to this with a lane inviting, since, I don't know, if he doesn't, he's like dead on board.
Sure, that makes sense.
Exactly sure what the target's going to be.
It looks like the Surveil is going to put Lightning Bolt. We'll say it's going to give Christopher Smith a Lightning Bolt, but again, not sure that's going to matter here this game. I don't know if it's going to go long enough for that one to be relevant. So yeah, you can take the creativity.
It probably doesn't matter. It does mean Alan can't land binding the Voidwalker, because if he did, since the Voidwalker is currently untapped, Smith would then be able to just sack it and bolt him right now.
Yeah, so he did take care of the Grief to give himself another turn here. Don't know. Does he have an out? Because he takes, what, 5 here? Okay, so he goes to 3. So he is able to possibly fetch, or 2, I'm sorry, fetch, and then put, I don't even know if, does Archon even get him out of this? It's not going to matter. Alan didn't draw what he needed to. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it does either. And Christopher's going to tie this one up, so we're going to be going to a game 3 between the two here. Hopefully get another really good game out of them. Just, well, like you said, mulliganing against any deck that has like Thoughtseize or Grief draws. I find like I will keep any remotely playable hand. And oh, is Alan mulliganing again here in game 3? He's doing a little bit of. Oh no, it looks like they're still shuffling up between the games. Okay.
All right.
Well, I guess.
And okay, I guess while we have a second here, I'll call attention to a few sideboard changes that might be relevant. Specifically, I think the big one is the Scam deck generally against Creativity boards in a bunch of Blood Moons. And these have some pretty interesting effects on the game. Because, okay, on the one hand, well, none of the Dwarven Mines make tokens under Blood Moon, so it can be really hard for Creativity deck to get anything to target. But on the other hand, okay, the Creativity deck is already sort of built under the assumption that every land makes red, so that the Dwarven Mines work, and so that the triple red Creativity is castable, which means like their ability to cast spells isn't necessarily as crippled as you might expect of a 5-color deck. So that's kind of, I think, the core dynamic of the post-board games is there's going to be a lot more Blood Moon than there was in Game 1. Now, I'm not saying the Creativity deck doesn't change at all, but for that deck, it's again, more of just some pretty marginal upgrades, maybe a few more kill spells coming in, a few Veil of Summers, all good tools, but none of them that are going to kind of change the terms of engagement the way a Blood Moon will.
Makes sense. All right. I'll just see if that's something that's going to come up here in game 3.
Yeah, it looks like this.
We're getting a little bit of a note here from our great director, Anurag. It looks like these players are shuffling up here, getting ready for game 3. Seems like we can't jump ahead on this one just yet. Looks like we're going to be getting this one live. I've been spoiled, Andrew, the last couple of years of coverage where we get to kind of like skip over this a lot. I kind of miss talking about sideboards at times, but the viewing experience of just going straight from game to game has just been awesome as well.
Yeah, I will say that I appreciate the chance to kind of think about exactly what's coming out, what's coming in, how that will impact the games, but obviously it's somewhat of a matter of taste, and I understand the desire to just get back into the action as quickly as possible.
Yeah, definitely nothing wrong with that. You want to go ahead and get right into the action, all thrill all the time. Let's go. Ooh, I see a Murktide in the opening hand from Alan here.
Oh,
and he's on
man.
the play, I think, this game as well.
I mean, that could be a huge blow. I mean, imagine Christopher Smith goes for a Grief Scam, and just the Scam element gets Murktide, so the Grief just ends up dying. That's a huge swing.
I think I do see Grief in the opening hand. I don't know if he has... Well, actually, I think there might be Grief Scam in the opening hand for Christopher. I'm not 100% on that. I think maybe these players are still contemplating if they're going to mulligan or not. It looks like Alan's just going to go ahead and play Arid Mesa and pass here. Back over to Christopher. Let's see if he has that Grief Scam like you were talking about was so impactful in game 2. Polluted Delta here from Chris. I'm sorry, let me say Christopher. If he puts his name down as Christopher, let's go ahead and call him Christopher. He might not be one who likes the shortened version of his name. Sorry about that, Christopher.
That's cool.
All right, Blood Crypt for Christopher as well here. Going to go down to 17. See what he has in store turn 1 for us. It does look like it's going to be a Grief. It's going to be pitching a Terminate. Alan's going to go ahead and sacrifice this Arid Mason in response.
Interesting.
I was going to say, why would you do this in response here?
I'm not
so,
sure.
Yeah, so Sacred Foundry fetched up by Alan here. Assume it's going to come to play untapped.
Was he Murktiding the Grief? Is that the point?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go ahead and Murktide the Grief.
Yeah, because, okay, here's the thing. If Alan only has one piece of interaction, right? Like, let's say he's Murktide and the rest of his cards can't be cast for 1 mana. Then, if he lets the Grief resolve, the Grief will just take the Murktide and the Scam element will resolve. Right? You don't, like, get any more.
Right.
So, That means that if he Mantides the Grief, though, then, okay, there won't be second Thoughtseize, and the Grief will die. So if that's your only peaceful interaction, if you don't have a lightning bolt or something of that nature, this is just the right play.
Actually cannot tell what that card is that just got taken out of. Is that a binding? Is that a Leyline
I think it's
binding?
a binding, yeah. It's
Yeah.
quite foil, so it's a little hard
Yeah.
to see in the glare. But
Too much
it's a
drip.
binding.
Yeah, too much drip by these players this weekend. And then I think that's 4 lands behind that for Alan. So these fetch lands with these surveil lands are going to have to do some heavy lifting for Alan here over these next couple turns.
Well, that is definitely true, but with the Grief out of play, I actually think this isn't a bad position for Alan. He's not under that much pressure. He does have access to 2 surveil lands, like you mentioned, that
Well,
will really help him here.
did he just top deck Ren 6 or something? Is that what's going on here? Because we just got a quick fetch into a shock with Stomping Ground. So is this a Ren 6 on top of the board? Yeah, it is. All right, Ren 6. We're cooking on Alan's side here. Going to get that fetch land again, and hey, that's more access to more Dwarven Mines and more surveil lands as this game goes on.
I think he's all set up to do what I talked about at the beginning of this. Like, look, okay, Alan is going to have plenty of time to peel the creativity. He's got a lot of draws, a lot of looks, a lot of scries off these, or sorry, I guess surveils off these
Surveil,
lands.
I want to call it Scry all the time too. Dude, Christopher did have the scam part of it too, by the way.
Yes.
All right, so Arid Mesa brought back to the hand. Bloodstained Mire played for the turn. Christopher Smith's going to go ahead and fetch into turn here.
2 shocks. 2 shocks.
Well, he passed with nothing on 2, really hoping to get that Grief into play on turn 1, and that was foiled by the Mana Tithe here. It's going to buy Alan just a ton of time in this game 3. I mean, imagine this game if he was just getting attacked here every one of these turns instead.
I think that Mana Tithe was game changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And part of it too, right, is if you're the scam player and you see a hand that has Grief Scam, that's basically all that you need to know to keep, right? Like, you'd keep Grief Scam 4 lands, you'd keep Grief Scam even if it only has 1 land. Like, the rest of your draw might be incredibly anemic. That will not stop you. If it is Grief Scam, you're keeping. And that means that when Alan Mantides that, he really has a lot of equity to beat kind of those weaker draws that might be kept on the strength of the Grief Scam.
So it seems like Christopher did actually have a 2-drop there with a Bowmaster at the end of turn here. So he's going to attack Alan for 2 here and just go ahead and pass on. It's going to fetch again. I like to get a little bit low, but that Ren 6 is in play to possibly pick off some of these Bowmaster. But like you were talking about in game 1, it's kind of scary sometimes to put 1 damage on one of these when Christopher has mana up. You know, we know that the scam part, a Grief Scam, is in Christopher's hands, so that could mean another trigger there if you go after the token and there's another Bowmaster there. You could be, grown in response. Lots of ways for Christopher to make counterplay to that. But this fetch is turned into one of the surveil lands here. It looks like it's the red-black one, so we'll see if Alan wants to keep the top card of his deck. And importantly, you've been talking about this, does he find a creativity here? There is mana up for Christopher Smith, though.
Yes. Now, something that's interesting about the game state is, okay, you're certainly right that Alan can't necessarily easily go after either the Bowmaster or the token because of things that might be in Christopher's hand. Remember that Alan basically knows Scam Alan is in Christopher's hand, right? That whole Mantle interaction at turn 1, like, the opponent wasn't just griefing you without the Scam. That isn't what happened.
Right.
So, if you're Alan here, you can basically know with certainty that unless you have another piece of interaction or a Teferi or something like that, you cannot just ping this Bowmaster.
Card was kept on top. I didn't get a good view of what it was, though. It's whatever the 3rd card from the left is. Is that an Elish Norn? Is that what was kept?
Oh, interesting. I mean, it could be.
I think that's an Elish Norn. Because it looks like it's one of the weird templating, like the crazy artworks.
Okay, I mean, what you should know about this creativity deck is... Oh, it's Get Lost? Chances it's Get Lost.
It might be Get Lost, okay. Because it looked like it had like a weird white card, yeah, so Get Lost, alright. Thanks,
All
chat.
Rare chat W. Alright, so...
They're never wrong, Andrew.
Yes, so... Anyway, Git lost a fine pickup round here. He doesn't have an incredible target, but that does mean he could do something like ping down the Bowmaster. Chris Smith goes for a scam element. In response to that, Alan Git lost, something of that nature. Could also just hold it, look to hit a Fable or a Shieldred, a larger threat cast later. Just going to continue to let him buy time to try to top deck that all-important creativity. Something else I'll note here is if Alan creativities, the metric I would generally use is a creativity for x equals 1 that resolves is often good enough, but not always. Christmas might have too big a board, might be able to terminate it and recover. Christmas has moves, in other words. A creativity x equals 2 that resolves on both targets, neither gets killed in response or whatever, is I think basically checkmate. Doesn't really matter what Christmas has, nothing goes over the top of that.
Good point. That's absolutely true. It looks like, where's this Bowmaster going to go? Looks like it's going to go to Alan. Oh, he's going to attack the Ren here, I think he said. Maybe Lightning Bolt left over for Christopher Smith here. So it looks like no blocks were declared. Okay, he went after Alan. Okay. So Alan down to 9. Life total getting a little low. Christopher ignoring that Ren and 6. Probably the correct thing to do here with the life totals the way it is. He's got to get this game over with.
Yeah, I mean, I like the play. I'm not sure I like Richard's chances.
Looks like a Molten Collapse is going to go here and take care of the Ren and 6.
Sure, and Molten Collapse is a nice one to leave in as Christopher Smith, since it can answer a Ren and 6 or to Fairy, but also it gives you an out to an Archon. It's not so narrow as something like Terminate that basically only answers Archons. So I like that as an inclusion.
Just forget to kind of check the top part of his deck here and put a swamp away that he's not going to need or want for this game. Alan did a turn. He's going to fetch, putting himself down to 8 here. I'm going to get a Dwarven Mine. Looks like, nope, we're just going to go ahead and surveil yet again. I think there's a Dwarven Mine in Alan's hand. I'm trying to get a glimpse of that earlier. Another surveil trigger on the stack here, looking to find one of those creativities, maybe something else to get this game going for him. Looks like top card. Kept it. Nope. I put that in the graveyard. We got Scalding Card making its way there off the surveil trigger. So we're back over to Alan here. What's he got for us here on his turn 5?
It could be as simple as make a Dwarf to block and then get lost as well as the scan element, something like that. I don't know.
It might be something along those lines. Yeah. So see an Arid Mesa. This is a play for turn for Alan. So Dwarven Mine up and at the ready. Requisite mountains achieved for Alan as well. So back over to Chris. Gonna make his 5th land drop here, and he's gonna pay 2 life here for a Blood Crypt. Start to turn off. You're paying 2 mana here to dash a Ragavan. Dwarven Mine really rearing its head here this turn now. 2 creatures attacking in here. Dwarven Mine definitely going to get searched up here, I have to think, for Alan here. Going down to 7.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep,
that seems like the obvious selection.
And that is the fetch, so 1/1 Dwarf token coming into play. See if Christopher has a way to make sure this doesn't happen, but looks like we've gone to blocks. I think Ragavan, yep. Ragavan was dead, but he's kind of isn't now.
Well, we'll see. He might be still dead after all.
Yeah. He might have found a map in response to him dying, but let's see. Looks like that's just going to go ahead and resolve.
Interesting. What is Alan trying to achieve with his Get Lost?
Does he have any sweepers? I'm taking a look here. Sometimes they have like some of the 3 damage spells. I'm not seeing any of those in Alan's list.
Yeah, I don't think that Alan has any sweepers. So that's why I'm not 100% sure what the intent was. I mean, I wonder if he was thinking, okay, Chris was shocked, maybe he has a post-combat play that's terrifying of some sort, but I'm also not exactly sure what it would be.
Well, Prismatic Ending is going to go ahead and take care of the pesky pirate monkey, leaving behind just the Bowmaster here. Alan at 5, though. This life total is getting low. He hasn't been able to find his signature card yet. No creativity, it looks like, but that Arid Mesa into play yet again here. How many Dwarven Mines we have left? I think was that only one that we've gone through? I think there might be a second one already in the hands. It looks like Thoughtseize is going to happen for Christopher Smith here. See if Alan has a response. Looks like Get Lost is going to target the Orcish Bowmaster.
Okay.
So 2 maps are going to come over to Chris's side, but no creatures to target them with.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the sort of game I think creativity tends to win. Creativity gets a lot of turns to find top creativity for the win. That is what victory usually looks like. However, you have to find it.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you draw enough bricks, you will lose. And Alan is pushing up against the limits of that. He is down all the way to 5.
Yeah, like you were talking about this earlier. You know, we have to find a miracle creativity a lot in this matchup because it's generally not going to stay in your hand because of all the hand disruption that Christopher has. But you can't Thoughtseize the top of the deck, I think, is the saying that everyone always talks about here.
Agreed.
So there's 2 lands on the left hand. Those are in Alan's hands. Let's see, draw for turn. See if he picked up anything that he wants to deploy here. Does look like a Wrenn and 6 was found, so I'm going to go ahead and get some of these lands back out of the graveyard.
I mean,
Arid
it's
Mesa
better
again.
than nothing. It doesn't really accomplish much.
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't really accomplish much. Also, like, you kind of have to be a little wary on fetching. So Dwarven Mine played here for turn, so 1/1 is active. Maybe can help block against, say, like another dashed Ragavan here. Something worried about some kind of haste threat. Because it would have been a pretty big Ragavan with these map tokens. All right, so, this is a big top deck for Christopher. Bowmaster off the top is going to go ahead and take care of the token. Now we have targets for the maps as well. The first map is going to target the Bowmaster here. Let's see what the top card, Explore. That's a Ragavan. All right, Christopher, are you going to keep this Ragavan? +1/+1 counter on the Bowmaster, which is huge here too, because this makes it to where the Bowmaster can't be picked off by the Wrenn and 6. Now it looks like he's going to keep the Ragavan and just pump up the Bowmaster to a 3/3 here.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. The fact that he has these maps in play turns his Bowmaster from a whatever top deck into a somewhat exciting one at least. I don't know if it's going to single-handedly pull out the game, but it's really not far off.
Not saying it's wrong to have this card or boarded in or anything, but I actually hate Get Lost, like personally. I don't know what it is, but the map tokens are always very good for my opponent every single time I play this card, so I've never been a huge fan of it. All right, Dwarven Mine's going to bring out a 1/1. Wrenn 6 going to take care of the token. We've still got this 3/3 Bowmaster here sitting around. Here comes the Ragavan off the top. It's going to get dashed. I think both of them are going to be coming at possibly Alan here. Let's see. So, sacrifice Arid Mesa.
You presumably find Dwarven Mine block, right?
Right. I think we're getting low on Dwarven Mines. This is the 4th one I think that's going to be in play, right?
Oh, that's true.
So that's all of the Dwarven Mines out of the deck. Does he have a way to destroy his own Dwarven Mine and get it back with Wrenn and 6? It's maybe 2 roundabout. I don't think that's something you can do.
No, he's not of that. I mean, what he can do is make tokens some other way, but that doesn't mean he has to actually, like, draw a card that does a thing. He can't just do it trivially for free off his fetch lands. Probably a Deduce or a Fable, something like that is necessary. Honestly, it's a big win for Christopher Smith that he made Alan expend all the Dwarven Mines.
It looks like that's going to be it. I think Alan had nothing but lands left over, and Christopher is going to get this match. Those map tokens really doing some heavy lifting, keeping that Bowmaster around and that getting the last couple points of damage in. Nice couple of games when the 3 of them there, but the Rakdos player is victorious.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I think that game was going creativity's way almost the whole time. But look, you're playing a deck with a pretty high land count. Did get some scries in, but ended up flooding a bit. red won't save you from flood. That is not one of its strengths, and Scam gets the W.
Absolutely. Let's see if I can get a little talk in the ear from Anu. Anu, do we have? It sounds like we have a backup match almost ready to go here, so we're gonna have a little bit more magic for you. Look at that right away. And it looks like we've got Emily on Is It Murktide versus Gabrielle on Golgari Yawgmoth. How are you feeling about this matchup in general? This is a pretty common matchup over the last like year-ish in Modern.
Yes, so this is actually a matchup I've played a lot. I have played my fair share of Yawgmoth in Modern as of late, and it is generally considered to be quite a good matchup for Yawg. Basically, just between the instant speed threats and kind of the Orcish Bowmasters, the Chords, and sort of the raw density of threats in the Yawgmoth deck, it's often true that Yawg will be able to kind of slip something through the net of counters and ride it to victory. Specifically, it's also annoying that the like halfling, which is on the table here, randomly makes every one of your main threats uncounterable, which is not good news for our Murktide player.
Yep, both players are great one-drops here, Delighted Halfling and DRC on the other side of the board. This is a turn 2 Agatha Soul Cauldron for Gabrielle here, though. Very powerful card. It's going to go ahead and take one of the cards out of the graveyard for Emily. Not only does it pump up for creatures, this is pretty good against the Is It Murktide deck for multiple reasons, right? They're just taking cards out of their graveyard.
Yeah, we'll just fetch.
Yeah, so
17
I mean, I think that this Soul Cauldron, the fact that it will disable Delirium while representing also a significant threat in its own right, the potential to make any Yawgmoths sort of uncounterable and unremovable, and the same with Grists. Yeah, it's just, again, this game is going absolutely the way that the Yawgmoth player wants it to.
Yep. Note, this is game 2. Looks like Emily did get game 1. So Gabrielle looking to force a game 3 here with this very good start on her side.
Additionally, I think Gabriel here might know that Emily does not have a burn spell in hand, because typically, if your opponent plays Lighted Halfling and you have burn spell, you'd play that over playing the DRC. You don't, to some extent, it's Murktide in this matchup. You're less worried about doing your own thing and more worried about stopping their thing from working. And that really gives Gabriel the green light to do whatever he wants.
Trigger?
It looks like Preordain from Emily here going to trigger Dragon Rage Chandler. Let's see where this first Surveil wants to go.
I'll leave that on top, resolve my Preordain.
So much surveilling in Modern now. So that's going to stay. Preordain's going to take a look at the top 2. Now we're going to scry. This is a card that you want in your hand right now.
I'll go top, and draw. And then I'll say go.
And sorry, did Emily miss a land drop just now?
Yeah, I think so. I was like trying to keep up with that myself. I was like, I think
Sure.
they did.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
another land drop from our Yawgmoth player.
so this is interesting, because if you're the Yawgmoth player, you sort of be thinking, all right, so my turn when Light Halfling lived, so Emily doesn't have a burn spell. Emily didn't play a land, so what is her hand?
Yeah, like I'm
And-
trying to piece it together too. Like what would be left over? Yeah.
Well, I basically think it has to be entirely counter spells and threats. Right? That's sort of all that's left. And those counter spells, I mean, Emily might not have had a good target for.
2 cards?
But it means that if you're Gabriel, and let's say you have a non-legendary spell you might want to put on the stack, something like Court of Calling, you should basically know Emily will have it covered.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point. Yeah, trying to figure out the scope of your opponent's hand from here when they make
I'll draw.
kind of a glaring play like that. You know, like you've surveilled and you scried to, and a land was missed. There we go. Well, there's one. Spiral Bluff Canal off the top. And like, was that actually Emily's second turn? I don't think. That's what I was trying to figure out if I just missed something. Maybe I just missed something. So anyway, back to this. Looks like
Triggers.
Brotherhood's in here to destroy artifacts. That's going to trigger the Dragon Rage Chandler. Put a
Interesting.
lightning bolt into the graveyard. So we've got a lightning bolt, a land. I was going to say we got what? Is it 3 types? Is this delirium? I was going to say I think there's a bauble in the graveyard for Emily too, right?
Yes, but even if it is delirium, Gabriel can still just exile the one of the card types with this cauldron and turn it right back off, if that's how he wants to play it.
Yeah, it seems that's what's going to happen. That Mishra's bauble gets taken away.
I'm thinking about
So,
it. I'm
no
thinking
delirium.
about it. I think I'll pass.
So no attack. Back
All right,
over.
and
I'll play a Yawgmoth.
Emily's completely tapped out, and there's the Yawgmoth.
Sure.
We'll say this is one of the really scary ones. Well, there we go. We have a land for turn, but it's a little bit better than your typical land. So Yawgmoth's going to get sacrificed. Undying's going to happen here. That's going to take care of that Dragon Rage Chandler. That is still just a 1/1.
We just wait for that. We have the most
Can we do black for minus?
Alright, so there we go. These are +1/+1 counters. Yeah.
If I can have the black.
Yeah, you're gonna
Make
eat
sure we
those.
keep them separate. And we
So I'm gonna go
have
to
-1
600.
counters as well.
Yes. Oh, don't worry, not to mention the loyalty counters and -1 counters when we get there.
Oh yeah, Wall of Roots, Planeswalkers. We got a bunch of different ones. We need those the special dice. We need the box that comes up like all the different ones. Even maybe the Termagoyf dice. We've seen Termagoyf making a little bit of a comeback in Modern here at times lately.
Yeah, I mean, the term of art I believe is Yawg dice.
There we go, Yawg dice. I like that. Okay.
But yes, so
You're Yawg.
now Gabriel
Have
has
clear.
assembled this
Creature,
interaction
sorcery,
where
instant land.
every creature potentially represents 2 card draws, because you can sack the creature to remove the counter from the Yawgmoth, then sack the Yawgmoth to draw a card, so that's 2 draws. It will cost you 2 life for the privilege, but even though this Yawgmoth is getting handled, the situation is still pretty out of hand for Emily. Gabriel can probably just draw till he finds a good follow-up, whatever that means to him. Maybe another Yawg, maybe a Soul Cauldron to like kind of allow you to reactivate the Yawg that died, maybe a Grist to get that going. The world is really his oyster.
Yeah, absolutely. And
That is all
that's
for
an
me.
unholy heat taking care of that Yawgmoth. But like you said, cashed in for a ton of cards, plus these creatures are left over, and there could just be another copy of Yawgmoth or something coming up here. It looks like or you get a fetch land sacrificed here. That the halfling still, like you said, I think you got to know that the halfling is important here, right? Like you said, nothing really went on for the first few turns. So there has to be probably counterspells and threats, and you know this unholy heat probably came off the top. Yep, there it is. Like I was talking about, another Yawgmoth, and this one's uncounterable.
Counterspell.
Here we go, Young Wolf on the stack in response, counterspell. We're not going to let that get out of hand too much here.
I mean, I think if you're Gabriel, you probably know that Young Wolf isn't going to hit the table, but look, it's not a card that's incredibly important to you. It's not one of the cornerstones of your strategy, this Young Wolf. So I don't mind Gabriel just saying, yeah, look, you probably have the counterspell, but if you want to play it on this Young Wolf, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like, it's great if the Young Wolf resolves, but, like, there's also, you kind of feel like it's a victory getting your Young Wolf counterspelled. You're like
Yes,
one of the,
exactly.
yeah, I was going to say, I'd be pretty happy either way. Resolve's cool. If not, cool. That's great. I get a counterspell for this Young Wolf. I'm very happy getting one of your premium spells out of your deck that costs 2 mana to stop one of the, like, 1 drops.
Yeah, 2 pretty much.
And I mean, you're sort of just seeing what I mean here about this matchup. In general,
It's really hard to do the
Murktide
Yawgmoth
definitely
thing
win.
both
It's a good deck full of good
Yeah,
cards.
yeah.
It's
So many
not
good
incredibly
cards.
lopsided. Not something extreme, but you definitely rather be on the Yawg side of this one.
How do you feel about, is it Murktide as a deck in the format here? Like, I see you go back and forth sometimes. Some people, like, really like it, and I see sometimes people are like, maybe it's not the right time for it, but I mean, it's still got a deck that has a lot of card draw, a lot of agency, and some really quick threats, so it can put you under pressure quite quickly.
Drop a turn.
My real opinion is that I think Murktide often falls in the space of being 45% against the field.
3 cards.
Uh, it's not like the Murktide is bad because like there's some deck that's the silver bullet for Murktide and like stomps it. It's never like that. But I do think you often are playing Murktide and you're sort of like, all right, like if you could choose your opponent every round, if you could just state, I will play against this thing. What even is the thing you would choose?
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
So That's kind of where I'm at on the deck. Now, 45% doesn't mean your deck is unplayable, really. If you're an expert on the deck, you know how to eke out all those matchups. Maybe you can turn a lot of those 45s into 51s, and something we're cooking here, right? I'm not trying to say no one should register Murktide, but on the whole, it's not what I would choose to bring to a modern tournament.
4 cards in
Holy
hand.
Heat's going to take care of Yawgmoth yet again. Here are those -0, -1 tokens possibly for you, Andrew. A Wall of Roots
Yep.
set to play for Gabriel. Let's see what we got behind us. Sage, you're going to get played. Free mana floating. There we go. -1 counter. That is a Scavenging Ooze. That one is also going to. Is that a Spell Snare? We have a Spell Snare sighting. Really, one of my personal favorite cards. Absolutely love that one.
Yeah, a relic in the format, making a little bit of resurgence as of late. I think
Are
possibly
you
because
calling
of the
me a
sword.
relic?
I'll iterate.
Are you calling me a relic as well, since I like that card?
You said it, not me, okay?
I was going to say my words, not yours. Exactly. All right. Well, expressive iteration found here for Emily. Let's see if they can find some real heat to be cooking with here in this turn. Still getting beat down by this 2/2 Yawgmoth, and I think I spy another copy of Yawgmoth possibly in Gabriel's hand, along with an Overgrown Tomb. So
Cast bubble.
we can get through these few couple cards. Might be in a good spot. I can't tell what that is. That just got. Here we go. All right, Mishra's Bauble. There we go. So Bauble. Take a look at the top card.
Play land. Fetch. Go to 11.
Fetch land. Going to get a pseudo scry out of the Bauble here. I love getting to use that for some, not just a little bit of card advantage, but for some card quality as well.
I mean, I think Emily is making somewhat of a recovery in this game. You saw that Gabriel was sort of forced to sack that Delighted Halfling because he didn't have a great hand when the second Yawg was removed. Needed to get those cards out of it, which I think is fine. He'd gotten one counterspell out. It's not unreasonable. But it seems like Emily has plenty of gas back and might be able to overcome even these two Yawgmoths hitting. I think the game is approaching parity.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking the same thing.
3 cards.
Emily's done a very good job of being behind in this game, but
Owie,
keeping
good
themselves in it enough that, with a couple of decent top decks or, things going their way, that they could actually pull this game out. And I didn't think that was a chance as soon as like 2 turns ago. And now it's, like you said, I feel like it's almost a parity. All right, here comes that Yawgmoth that we were talking about. And there is a counter spell from Emily, ready and up to the challenge. Life totals at 11 apiece. Another land and pass from the Yawgmoth player. Does Emily have a big threat here? Is there a Murktide looming?
See, I really wouldn't be surprised if there were, because, again, that turn where the land drop was missed, Emily's hand was all counterspells and threats. We pretty much knew that. So, here's the Murktide.
It will be an 8/8.
Oh, this looks like it's going to be quite a big one as well. I think that was 5. Yeah, I was going to say, so 8/8 Murktide here. Only 2 attacks, or an attack plus a lightning bolt needed to get this game over with, and that is not the hand that you want to deal with. A second Wall of Roots and another land here. Lightning bolt gets this one done if it gets across.
Swing 8.
I saw a red card. Is that a lightning bolt?
Oh my god. Incredible game.
It is a lightning bolt, and there's the handshake. Incredible game is right. Is it Murktide gonna peel this one out? If you'd have told me 3 turns ago the Murktide player would win this game, I would have been very, very surprised, Andrew. But well played by Emily. She is the winner. Is it Murktide?
I think that game was beautifully navigated by Emily. I was pretty impressed.
Oh, same. I thought it was very well played.
When she missed that land drop, I was almost ready to call it.
Yeah, same. I was like, especially with the Delighted Halfling in play that hadn't been killed yet. But Emily showed she really understands her matchup, knows how to squeeze out every little piece from every card, ended up getting them a victory. It sounds like we are ready for a small break. Going to play some Wordle, maybe. Anu will put that up for y'all. We'll be back with the next round right away. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Magic the Gathering.